Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, unfortunately, last week in the state of Texas, an anti-trans bill finally passed. And let me tell you, it's absolutely devastating to these kids, I guarantee you. What they did is they passed a law that now bans trans kids from competing in sports on the gender that they identify as. Now, I don't care what anyone has to say. The data is out there. There is nothing, not even happening in Texas, that would allow it to actually be a problem. This isn't a problem. It's a problem it's a solution looking for a problem that doesn't exist. I'm absolutely beyond livid at this. I cannot believe a state would go after its own people to this extent. These are kids. These are children. All they want to do is be kids and get to play and be themselves. I could not imagine going through that, knowing that you're under attack every day by your own damn government. Think about it. Think back when you were a kid. When you were a kid, what did you want to do? You just wanted to be you. You want to be able to play how you wanted to play where you wanted to play. And that's all these kids want. That's all they're asking for. The fact is that Texas had 70 laws that they've tried to pass in recent years against trans kids. Most of them have found a way to fail. This one failed, but Governor Abbott insisted that it be continued in a special session. And when it didn't pass that special session, he had another special session. When it didn't pass that special session, he had another one. This same law came through the Oklahoma state legislature earlier this year. The Republican in charge of the Republican-led Senate here in Oklahoma said the same thing I just told you, that it was a solution looking for a problem. He didn't even bring it to the floor and killed the bill because it did not have anything to do with what was going on in Oklahoma. You know, growing up, I was taught that Oklahoma was backwards, that Oklahoma was wrong, but look at that. A Republican with morals, with a moral compass that said no because it didn't have to do with anything going on in our state. There are a few anecdotal cases that Fox News has brought you. 3 girls in Connecticut, for example, supposedly lost out. But there are more cases than not where it doesn't make any change of anything. These kids, many of them don't even go through a male puberty, for example. Many of them are on blockers to prevent that. So, at the end of the day, if they're playing on a girls' team, what extra benefit do they have? Also, this year, people made a big stink over a transgender woman in weightlifting. They claimed for weeks after it was announced that she was going to be able to be on it for at least the week leading up to the Olympics. You saw post after post about how she's just going to run roughshod over the entire group of women because she wasn't a real woman, and she had an advantage because of testosterone. She didn't get one lift off, not one. Not because she didn't try, but because the other women were better at the sport. And this is repeated time and again. Transgender women are not stealing women's spots. And it's definitely not happening in youth sports. Take the picture of the little girl there. That's Kai Shapley. Ever since she was a little toddler, She's been having to go to the state legislature almost yearly to fight for her existence. Her and her mother and all the people that support trans rights down in Texas. And hundreds of other families just like theirs. All these kids want to do is play. All they want to do is be able to be on the same teams that they identify with. There's no excuse to ban them. There's no excuse for the maltreatment of these children. What we need is inclusiveness and love. But that's not what these kids are getting. These kids are being taught that love doesn't matter, that inclusiveness doesn't matter. They're being taught that they don't matter. How is that okay? How is that okay in any part of this country? I don't understand it, and I never will. I to this day do not understand this hate that these kids get. To be honest with you, it scares me. It scares me because it shows me just how cold-hearted some people are out there in this world. The thing is, you don't have to understand them. You don't have to understand people of the LGBTQ community. You don't have to understand trans kids to understand that kids need love and support and affirmation. I'm so sick and tired of people going after these kids, making them feel as if they're subhuman, like they don't matter, like they have to hide who they are. And it kills me. Because you sit there and look at this little kid's face. And you tell them they don't exist. That they don't matter. That they can't enjoy playing a game of basketball with their friends. Because they're not biologically the gender you want them to be. And I don't get it. I will never understand. I don't want to understand. If you don't care for trans kids, you don't want to protect them, you don't want to allow them to be themselves and live their lives without the state government coming in and taking their rights away and forcing them to not be able to play sports because they don't fit in with the other crowd. It makes them not able to enjoy their lives. It makes them not be able to do sports and things like that. It leaves them ostracized from their community, from their fellow friends. Now, I know not everybody wants to do sports. Not everybody wants to be in athletics and all that stuff. I get that. But for the ones that want to, let them. Let them. As that sign says, as you keep seeing it coming across the screen, let them play. And I want to end this video with a plea to our president. You vowed in your campaign to fight for these kids, to put laws in place, to protect these kids, to allow them to play sports, to allow them to be themselves, and you haven't done it. There are a lot of things that I can let slide. There are a lot of things that I'll get over. This is not one of them. I can tell you right now that if you, Mr. Biden, do not stand up for these kids and protect these kids and put a kibosh on these stupid laws that are coming out in the states by pushing for laws in the Congress, then I will not vote for you in 2024. I won't vote at all if I have to. But I think it's absolutely insane that you made a promise to these kids and you're not keeping up with it. That you're not trying. People are going to say, well, he's got a lot on his plate. Well, you know, it's been 9 months. And yeah, he's done some things. Paid lip service to the trans community, where they don't have to, have proof of surgery, of sex reassignment surgery, to be able to get their ID changed for a passport. Unfortunately, in the States, it's not that way. Like here in Oklahoma, you literally have to have the full bottom surgery before you could ever even have your ID mark, your gender marker change. So that's great on passports, but that's not protecting people. That's not making sure they're able to live their lives. Because most trans people aren't going to have need for a passport, especially as a child. Some might, most won't. What we need is laws that are made, orders that are put in place that protect children from laws like that just passed in Texas. And if you're not going to pass that, which was the main reason I voted for you in the first place. I had a lot of other reasons, but one of the main reasons I voted for you was because you said you would help this little kid. That you would help the trans community. That you would do something about the violence being perpetrated on the trans community. And you haven't. Sure, you've convened meetings, blah, 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 but you haven't done anything to help. Get off your ass and do something. Get down there to Congress and tell them what you want. Call Nancy Pelosi and explain to them that you have got to get the Equality Act passed. I actually see that as more important than even your entire infrastructure bill you're trying to get passed. Anyways, check out the video you see, and I'll see you down the road.